What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Jose Show. Happy Thursday. Well, today isn't just Thursday. Today is 9/11, which means that today marks the 24th anniversary since the attack at the Twin Towers over in New York City. My hearts and prayers go out to all of the victims, and my hearts and prayers go out to all of the families of the victims. Oof, I don't remember 9/11 at all because I was only 4 years old at the time when all of this happened, but I just don't want to even imagine the atrocity and the horribleness that happened over in New York City back in 9/11 of 2001. I really feel so heartbroken, to be honest, because of the fact that, it was just one of those days where, unfortunately, innocent lives got taken away. And of course, a lot of families were, in hopes that, nothing bad was going to happen on that day to their own family member on that day. And unfortunately, their family members ended up, getting attacked by these horrific attacks of the Twin Towers. And to be honest, I think that right now is the day, and I believe that every other day, but especially today, is the day where we should, acknowledge that we as a nation, we need to get together and we need to be uniting and loving and caring instead of being a divisive nation where everyone is being so disrespectful and so mean towards one another and attacking one another. No, all of that definitely needs to stop for once and for all. But anyways, rest in peace to all of the victims from 9/11. We are thinking of you guys, and we are thinking of the families especially. Now let's start off with the first topic of the day. So unfortunately, yesterday, the conservative activist and influencer and Trump supporter Charlie Kirk unfortunately got shot and killed yesterday at a event over at a campus in Utah. And apparently the shooter of Charlie Kirk hasn't been identified as of now. However, the feds just released an image of a person of interest in the Charlie Kirk shooting. And apparently the FBI says, we are asking for the public's help identifying this person of interest in connection with the fatal shooting of Charlie Kirk at Utah Valley University. And apparently FBI Salt Lake City released 2 still images Thursday showing a white man in a black long sleeve shirt and jeans. He's also wearing a hat and dark sunglasses. The man's shirt appears to have American flag imagery. One image looks like he's climbing a set of stairs. All right, so this is really insane that now there is an image of a person of interest behind this whole entire shooting, because we honestly don't know exactly yet, though, who the person can be that got to shoot Charlie Kirk. Because, one thing is having to look at an image of the supposed suspect, according to the FBI, but another one is actually seeing if the person was actually the one that ended up shooting Charlie Kirk in the first place. If there is some evidence that shows that very moment of the person shooting Charlie Kirk in the first place, then that is where we can actually know who the suspect is. And I believe that this person needs to be in prison for a very long time or for the rest of their lives, so that way they can learn a lesson that they need to be nice. They need to stop being so hateful, so disrespectful, so atrocious in all levels. And at the end of the day, we as people, we need to respect people's differences regardless of what their political views are, regardless of what their religious views are, because at the end of the day, we are all different in this world. And we also need to be mature of the fact that we have differences in this world, because here's the thing, even though we have differences, guess what? We are all human beings. We are all people that, of course, have our own thoughts, and we all have, just ways of expressing ourselves in life, and that is perfectly fine. Even though, of course, it might tick us off that a certain person supports a certain political party or a certain religion, yet again, we need to, just put the anger aside and be respectful towards the person that is in belief of those things. All right? Like, we really need to be mature. We really need to be uniting, and we also need to be more loving and more compassionate for once and for all. And of course, most importantly, super respectful in all levels, okay? But anywho, this just comes to show that with this shooting that happened yesterday, unfortunately, it is pretty dangerous to be expressing who you believe in and expressing what political party you believe in and so forth. And unfortunately, it just comes to show that unfortunately, these days, a freedom of speech is actually dangerous, when in reality, it shouldn't be dangerous. It should actually be something that we should all be doing nowadays, because at the end of the days, I mean, we need to be, very expressful, and we need to just go out and send a message on what we believe and so forth, and that's it. Now, it's very interesting at the same time that this whole entire shooting happened over at the state of Utah, which happens to be a Republican state, by the way, where there's a lot of Trump supporters and a lot of Republicans. But this just comes to show that even in the Republican states, you will get your enemies that are against you for your own Republican views, So, anywho, this is so insane, ladies and gentlemen, that this is happening. I cannot believe it, that Charlie Kirk is dead at the age of 32. And he is survived by his son and his daughter, and also by his wife. And I can't imagine how heartbroken his wife is and how heartbroken his daughter is now. Of course, I don't think the 1-year-old son is really all that aware of the situation, because he's 1, but as he grows up and he's going to find out what happened to his dad, he's going to be so heartbroken. He's going to just lose it. And honestly, I don't even want to imagine, man, these poor kids growing up growing up without their dad, and now being able to just, suffer about the fact that they don't have that father figure with them anymore. Oh my God, this really breaks my heart in all levels. This really does, man. My Jesus, what are we gonna end up in? What are we gonna end up in? Now, on to another sad note. So, unfortunately, a few students yesterday got shot and killed over at an elementary school over in Colorado, apparently. And apparently this happened, I believe, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon or 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And I believe 2 are dead, if I'm not mistaken, of the students that are or were in that school. And this happened just shortly after the whole entire Charlie Kirk shooting. And this happened, I believe, at a school called Evergreen Elementary School, if I'm not mistaken. And I was just like, oh my goodness, what is going on here? From one shooting to another shooting at the same day? Like, where are we getting to here in the United States of America? Like, it's like so freaking scary, with all of this going on, that I believe that nowadays we can't even go out, not even to at least have a walk, because of the fact that there's a bunch of crazy people out there going after you, shooting you, or doing God knows what else to you. And you just feel like you are definitely the target of it all, unfortunately. And now it's like, okay, well, I think that the safest thing to do is to stay inside, when unfortunately staying inside really causes a lot of depression, first and foremost. And second of all, we need to go out, live our lives, do whatever the heck we want to do. But unfortunately, it's not safe because of all of the things that are going on. I really feel like nowadays we need to hire some security guards. We're going to have to hire somebody in order to protect us, because this is just getting out of control. Okay, but anyways, my hearts and prayers, man, go out to Charlie Kirk and his family and his supporters and his friends. And my hearts and prayers go out to the students, the victims of the shooting over at the elementary school over in Colorado. And especially to the parents of these students, man, the parents that are just completely torn apart. R.I.P. R.I.P. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Harry Jowsey. So Harry Jowsey is still hoping to work his way into Sia's elastic heart, even though he's also 100% committed to getting married on his new reality show. TMZ caught up with the Netflix personality at LAX airport on Wednesday, where Harry told us just how excited he is to find love on his upcoming show titled Let's Marry Harry. Alright, so while Harry stayed tight-lipped on the specifics about the show, claiming Netflix didn't trust him with the details due to his big mouth, the too hot to handle alum made it clear he's serious about tying the knot as he's ready to start a family with his wife, whoever that ends up being. So still, Harry couldn't hide his love when asked about pop star Sia, praising her as one of the most incredible people and revealing that they talk pretty frequently. Alright, so remember, Sia and Harry were caught holding hands during a stroll in Los Angeles this summer, with the duo looking pretty smitten with each other at the time. Alright, so despite the PDA, Sia appeared to support Harry's new TV project, plugging the Let's Marry Harry announcement on her Instagram. She did declare her love for Harry in the post, however, adding further confusion to this situationship. Okay, so personally, I don't think that Harry is going to end up finding any love with Sia, because I just think that Harry and Sia are just friends, because I think that Harry is that type of guy that wants to find himself a girl that is around his age and not somebody that is too old for him, first and foremost. And also, Harry is just simply friends. That's all. Friends with Sia. Okay, and personally, I think that what Harry Jowsey wants, by the way, is to also take his time to really find the one for him. Because if Harry Jowsey doesn't take his time to find the one for him, then chances are he's going to end up finding the one that isn't really for him. And then that's going to cause him to divorce the person really soon. And that's something that he doesn't want. So with all of that being said, I think that what's going to end up happening, in my opinion, is that maybe Harry Jowsey is going to take maybe up to a year or two to find the one that is for him, because of the fact that it really takes time for the one to come to your life. And honestly, I think that once that happens, then Harry Jowsey is maybe going to take his time to get to the engagement level, and then get to the marriage level, and then from there he's going to live a happy ever after life with that person. I mean, that is just what I'm thinking, because at the end of the day, I mean, he really seems like somebody that is serious. Not super serious, but serious, you know? So anywho, it's really interesting and it's really clever of him, though, that he has this game show, because, I mean, at the end of the day, I believe it'll definitely be easy for him to find somebody that he wants to be with in this game show, and that's if this show is about Harry Jowsey finding somebody for him, okay? I'm not really sure exactly if this show is about that, though. However, if that show ends up being about that, then trust me, it'll definitely be so fun for him, especially having to find that one for him in this show, because it's going to be like a variety of girls in that show that he can pick from letters A to Z. Like, okay, this one's pretty, but this one's prettier, but this one's hotter, but this one's not so hot. This one's young, but not so young. And this one's really blonde, but not so blonde. You know, it's going to be definitely like a whole entire variety thing for him. And honestly, that's really amazing, you know? And so, anyways, I can already imagine that it's going to be definitely a blast at the end of the day. And hey, I mean, good for Harry. Good for Harry. I love him in so many levels, because he's a really cool dude. He's really realistic. And, you know, at the end of the day, who wouldn't want to be dating Harry anyways? Because Harry is a really handsome guy, filled with a huge future, filled with a huge, good personality, with, a good smile on his face and all of that other stuff. So yeah, so anywho, good luck to Harry on finding his own love in his own life. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Benson Boone. So unfortunately, Benson Boone and his girlfriend Maggie Thurman are no longer a thing, TMZ has learned. So TMZ sources tell us Benson and Maggie are no longer together, though it's unclear what led to the split. So, apparently, the breakup comes as fans have been noticing Benson and Maggie are no longer following each other on social media, a death knell for a relationship these days. So, TMZ was told that Benson and Maggie had been dating for 3 years, though they only went Instagram official last year. Okay, so Benson recently dropped a new album, American Heart, and he's currently on world tour. Plus, he's got a bunch of recent brand deals. In other words, he'll be fine. Okay, so this is really insane that Benson Boone is no longer a thing with his girl Maggie, because I thought that these two were gonna be lasting for like at least 20 years or so, because I just thought that these two were all snuggly and lovey. But you know what? It's just one of those things where unexpected things happen in between a relationship, and it's so sad. But hey, I mean, at the end of the day, life really gives us a lot of obstacles and challenges and mysteries on what happens in a relationship. And I believe that Benson was all like, you know what, things are just not going the way I expected with this girl, so I might as well just part ways. Or maybe the girl was like that towards Benson, vice versa. And you know what, at the end of the day, Benson Boone is so young. He's like 24 years old, so he still has a whole entire life ahead of him to find himself a new boo in his life. And by the way, he has a huge music career. He's very famous right now. He has a huge hit single, and he has a bunch of fans to support him. So I mean, life is not over for the guy anyways. We can't just sit here and assume that just because he broke up with this girl, his life is over. No. And let's also remember too that, I mean, Benson Boone, by the way, he has like this huge thing where he's like very confident on himself and on what he's going to in life and all of that other stuff, so his huge personality is what's boosting him up as well. So with all of that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I really think that it's just, one of those things too in life where Benson Boone is like, you know what, I believe that despite my breakup and despite what other people might even say about my breakup, I mean, at the end of the day, I have, a lot of good things going on with me, and I have a lot of, people supporting me. And, he basically even has it in his head too, that he has a lot of positive things going on in his life, So, anywho, I do feel bad, of course, because I can't imagine just how heartbroken Benson Boone might feel and how heartbroken Maggie might feel, just having to know that they are no longer a thing and that now they are just, parting ways. Because at the end of the day, it's just one of those things where you think and you rethink so much about how you did with that person and, your high chances of staying with that person and a bunch of other things. And then all of a sudden, all of those beautiful things and all of that beautiful connection ends up ending all of a sudden. And then, you know what? It's over, but there is a thing where time heals wounds, and since time heals wounds, he's gonna be like, you know what, screw it, and like I said, his career is gonna boost him up, his personality and his confidence is gonna boost him up, and his fans and supporters are gonna boost him up. So yeah, like I said, it's not a big deal at the end of the day. So anywho, that is it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's lovely episode of The Jose Show. Till next time, and peace.